On your Titan radio, this is your idle up. This is the normal mode position. This is the position that you have the radio in when you're setting up your blade pitch and your servos. This is also when you want to fly in 3D mode, which will automatically turn your throttle on the full stick, so you don't want to turn it on while you're flying if you're a beginner. This is should be your gyro gain. This here should be your hover pitch knob. This would increase or decrease your main blade pitch. So if your helicopter is landing kind of fast and hard, you can increase the pitch so it'll land a little softer. This here is your throttle hold or throttle cut. I also like to call it my safety switch, because once you plug up the helicopter, then you turn it on, and if somebody accidentally bumps the stick or turns on the throttle hold switch, the helicopter won't start up. Make sure when you're setting up your servos for 90 degrees that all of these trims are centered. Only trim doesn't have to be centered is the throttle. Okay, this is how you set up your Titan 450 servo linkages. First, you want to make sure that you got your radio at mid stick. You want to turn on your throttle, your idle up, right there. So at mid stick with idle up on, you want to make sure this servo horn is 90 degrees. All three of these servos need to be at 90 degrees. After you set those servos up at 90 degrees, then these two mixing arms right here, see if I can zoom in on them. These two mixing arms here need to be equal with each other, parallel, just like that. If, for example, your mixing arms are like that, then you need to lengthen the servo linkage rod until the three of them until they're parallel, like that. Once you have the servos 90, you want to keep the swash plate level when you're adjusting these three linkages, so you get these two mixing arms parallel with each other. And then put your pitch gauge on, and adjust this linkage. And there's another linkage on the other side for the other blade. Just adjust them until you got it at zero pitch. Put the other pitch gauge on the other blade, adjust it till it's zero pitch. And then I believe that's when I pull the head off and I put a swash plate leveler on here. And then I will go into my settings here under sub trim. And I'll go under sub trim. This is for servo 1, servo 2, and your third servo in whichever order. But I adjust these numbers until I move the swash plate up and down, and all three of the tips stay on the swash plate with the swash plate leveler. So that's how you set up your servos. Alright, here's my settings for the Titan 450. First you want to hit get user. Since I've already backed up my settings to this here, I'll hit open. Alright, I saved it there. I push open to load it. It's in here to load my setting. So anyway, these are my endpoints. Okay. Now my next setting is my reversing. You have the same servo, the factory servos. You can use the same reversing settings. Sub trims. Our sub trims will be different because after you 90 your servo arms and use your swashplate leveler, then your sub trim numbers should be different. You would be using server number 1, server channel number 2, and server channel number 6 for your 3 cyclic servos. The dual rates are all at 100. I think you can lower those to about 85. It would make it a little more, well actually mine on the switch when I turn the switch off is 50%. I think it should be a lot more than that. I think it should be 80 at least. But then this helicopter doesn't have any exponentials. So I'm going to test it at 50. Then your stick, you're going to be on model number 2. Your switch, throttle cut for switch A. For switch B, this is for the knob. It's your pitch adjust. That adjusts your blade pitch. If you increase that, it'll make your helicopter, if it's landing too hard, it'll make it land a bit more soft. And this one also says pitch adjust. This one says throttle cut. It should be throttle hold. Normal. Okay, we'll leave it at throttle cut. It should say throttle hold. Same thing. Anyway, that's my T6 configuration settings for your Titan 450. Thank you. Once you got your swash plate nice and level, from low stick to mid stick, Alright, tracking looks pretty good. Guess we'll get ready to take her flying tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to always wear safety glasses, like you saw me sitting over there. Protect your eyeballs.